just starting, like it's hard to like, starting a business is like jumping off a cliff and like building a parachute on the way down. That's really like what it is. I started a company, worked extremely hard on it, um, and kind of knowing when to pivot too. Like I
Mhm.
was like, I got to a point where I was like, okay, tech is not easy. I'm not a CTO,
Yeah.
so like this company will not grow unless we like fully kind of revamp it. So I was like, okay, I can either do that and or potentially come up with another idea that gets going and then revisit this when we're ready to rebuild it. So like that knowing of like obviously you want to have full belief in you and yourself and your company, but if there's something in the business that you need to change or pivot, like that is super crucial because for example, like a pivot we did is like we used to sell individual items, but now we only sell like bundled items. And it's like that pivot alone was like so big for us. So important and crucial steps like that is like really analyzing and making important decisions for your company's growth.
Welcome to another episode of Everything Intellectual Property. Today, we have a very special guest with us. This gentleman has created high quality gaming accessories such as Xbox as well as PS5 grip covers. Please help me welcome the CEO and the founder of Varsity Gripz, Maurice Manswell. How's it going, Maurice?
Going good. How you doing? I appreciate you
I'm
for having me.
No, for sure. And I appreciate you for giving me some time this afternoon to kind of really walk through what it is that you've created and kind of the business that you started. And I always like to kind of for the audience, whether they're kind of listening to this on the podcast or audio podcast or kind of looking at this on a video side of things, just kind of describe what it is that you've created with Varsity Gripz. And I love the name, by the way, as well.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah. So I grew up with two older brothers, and we would honestly play college football and video games a lot with each other. So when the game got discontinued, we were obviously pretty heartbroken, but they announced that it was coming back. And so we were super excited about it. And last year, I started to realize like a lot of people are excited for the game to come back. Grown men are taking off of work and buying consoles. It was a big deal. So I was one of the customers. Like I was so excited. And so I just started, um, kind of like thinking to myself that I saw an opportunity to create some great products like that allow these fans to rep their teams, showcase their support, because fans buy everything else, that's like branded for their university. It's really a lot of people's identity. So I just thought of it was a unique way to kind of allow fans to do it while they're gaming. And it's really kind of taken off. And so I'm excited of where it's going so far.
No, for sure. And was it anything in particular that was like an inspiration behind it outside of like, okay, like you said, I know fans, I'm a big Michigan State guy. I'm a double Spartan, went there for undergrad and law school. And yeah,
It's awesome.
anything that's kind of Michigan State related, I'm all for it. So was it the inspiration behind it just, okay, let me kind of create this grip cover such that fans can rock their team, or was it a little bit more behind, okay, you kind of the inspiration of you coming out with the product regarding the grip cover?
Yeah, so like I had seen like stickers before, but I hadn't seen like a high quality product, that was like really fit the controllers and consoles. So I was like, I'm very entrepreneurial and I love sports and I love video games. Like I play a lot of college football, I play a lot of different sports games and stuff like that. So I'm a big gamer and a big sports fan. And so it kind of allowed me to combine two of my passions into one. And I also like I'm like I'm a consumer myself. I buy a lot of gear of stuff, of teams that I like, and like I have it. And so I'm just like a college sports fan in general. So I kind of like thought it was a perfect kind of avenue for me.
Yeah.
I grew up playing sports and it's just, I watch so much sports and I love it. So it's kind of just a cool avenue for me to kind of combine both.
Nice, nice, nice. And I know you was talking about earlier as far as maybe nothing like this on the market. Maybe you've seen some stickers here and there.
Mhm.
I would imagine that it obviously is something maybe different from what you have regarding your grip cover. But I guess based on the stuff that you were seeing out there, if anything outside of the stickers, what was like? I guess your thought process to say, okay, let me make a high quality, or in other words, what did a high quality grip cover kind of mean to you, or what did that look like to you? Really to differentiate yourself from the market, and then kind of create something that a lot of people, especially game lovers, can get behind.
Yeah, of course. So like I'm a part of the generation that was part of like the phone case boom era. So like Odell catching the Apple sign, Tom Brady throwing the Apple sign, that kind of unique aspect. And it was huge. I had a ton of them. And so I was already of like, okay, like this is something people like and enjoy. It just has to be like a great quality, and obviously I know, like, even for me, when I've gamed for a couple of hours, my hands will sweat a little bit. And it's like, if you have a sticker on, that's not a good kind of, collab. So I was like, okay, let's make something that's like snug and fit, and allows these fans to rep all their gaming.
Oh, for sure. And I have to ask you this: were you like surprised? Because again, gaming has been around for a long time, and seems like that industry is kind of taking off even more and more year after year. It sounds like so, or
Mhm.
it seems like so. Were you surprised that kind of it was no kind of high quality grip cover out there already, given the fact that kind of this gaming industry has kind of boomed, especially as of late?
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely super surprised. Um, and I was like, this is something that I would want, if I was like, it's something I use all the time. So I was like, yeah, I was very surprised, and then I reached out to a good amount of schools, and some of the biggest schools, they were like, "We love it," the same day. So I was like, that was kind of the first initial like motivation. I was like, okay, we can just kind of, just go from here, kind of expand our horizons and offerings, and then um, just scale it. But yeah, I was super surprised.
And I think you bring up a good point as far as, like you said, reaching out to schools. A lot of people don't know, man, when you're actually using somebody else's trademarks or their intellectual
Mhm.
property on your product, you have to get some type of approval or authorization or a
Right.
license from them. So I would imagine when you talked about reaching out to schools and kind of seeing, kind of getting their take on it, it was whether it's universities or professional teams or even high school. I know you have IMG, which you went
Mhm.
to as a part of this thing. What was those conversations like to get a license from some of these kind of, again, big programs, SEC, Big Ten,
Yeah.
ACC? How did kind of you navigate those waters? Because that's fascinating to me. It seems like from my experience, the kind of the big dogs, they want to see proof of concept as it relates to volume of sales before kind of doing a deal. But it seems like
Yeah.
maybe you did it the other way around, as far as calling them up, kind of getting their thoughts, maybe kind of filling them out before
Mhm.
before actually kind of selling a ton of product.
Yeah, so that was like, it was honestly super long and difficult process, because I was like brand new to it. I had really no idea like what was really going on in a sense, but I started to learn as I was going through it, but it was definitely like a very long and rigorous application process, very selective. Like you have to have a lot of the stuff that they're requiring, and it's just a very like rigorous process in a sense. So I was kind of learning as I was going, and asking people that I knew, like potentially that were in the space or had experience with it. Um, but yeah, I mean, and a lot of it was like just great relationships too. Like, meeting with them, talking with them, being like super respectful, like they just kind of like liked me as a person. And I was like, okay, like we know that you're just getting started, but we definitely like would be interested in seeing how it goes. So super blessed and grateful for them. Like some of our first schools, like I'm super thankful at all of our schools, but like our first ones were really the ones to believe in us before we had even had a concept. Um, but yeah, it was definitely like like last summer, I was just like, okay, we got to launch before the game launches, but we have like about 2 months, so I have to figure out like everything, to kind of just get launched by the time the game launches. Um, so it was definitely a very like rigorous grind mode.
Sure.
Not no sleep summer for me last year, but it was definitely worth it and paid off for sure.
No,
Paying off.
no, I was going to say, yeah, it seems like you launched last year, 2024. Do you think that the NCAA, that kind of coming back and all that, was a big part of your success? In other words, do you think that thing, it would have been, maybe in terms of the product, would have been received differently if it hadn't been for maybe the kind of the game coming out or kind of being reintroduced
Yeah,
last year?
yeah, for sure. I think if the game wasn't out and we launched, people would probably be like, "Damn, like I wish the game was out," you know. But I think it was just like a perfect catalyst for us because honestly, like Alabama, even they invited us to their launch event last summer. That they were one of like the 5 schools I believe that were selected, and they wanted us. Then we made custom products for them, and they're all the players like. And we ended up getting posted on Alabama's football page, and so all the comments were like, "Where do you get that? Where do you get that?" But that was like the perfect kind of launch for us, obviously being there at the event, but the game in general, because a lot of people are back and playing it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's cool. And I ask you this as it relates to kind of entrepreneurship, kind of looking at the kind of maybe your background. I know again going to Miami, yeah, the education, the sports admin background.
Mhm.
Did you always kind of want to be an entrepreneur, or is this something that just kind of I won't say fell into your lap, but kind of life took you this path for whatever reason?
Yeah, no, I definitely always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So my family's entrepreneurs, my mom's entrepreneur, my brothers. And so when I was like 13 or teenager, early teen years, I started a sneaker reselling company with one of my teammates. And so that was like the first kind of intro and taste for it for me, because we were just like, we were shipping products out to people. We were selling to grown men at sneaker con like $400 or $500 pairs of sneakers, and like actually
Nice.
making good money as teenagers. So that's when I really started to realize, like, okay, I can like make a company, post about it, market it, people will buy from it. I just have to like, obviously has to be real and authentic and like good quality sneakers. So that's kind of like where it first started. I was like, okay. And once after that, I was like, I always knew that I wanted to start some type of like sports business for sure.
No, that's sweet. Oh, yeah, that's definitely so yeah, I was always interested on whether or not because some people, like you said, they just knew that they wanted to be an entrepreneur from the beginning. Then, like other times, you kind of run into business owners or entrepreneurs, and it seems like kind of life has forced them into that path, whether it was a layoff or whatever the case may be, and they're kind of
Yeah.
forced to be an entrepreneur. So it's always interesting to ask the question on whether or not you think that anybody can be an entrepreneur, or you have to have kind of these a certain skill set or personality to
Mhm.
be an entrepreneur. It's always interesting to get that side of it from you all.
Yeah, of course.
So then kind of moving it on to intellectual property again, we talked about you having to kind of get authorization or approval to use our intellectual property of these different schools and programs, organizations. Did you know about intellectual property coming into kind of starting a business, whether it's be trademarks, copyrights, patents, or is that something that you just kind of learned on the fly? It seems like you learned a lot on the fly. Was IP one of those things that you learned on the fly, or did you know a little bit about it beforehand?
Yeah, I knew a little bit about it beforehand. This is my second startup. So I have a first startup that I'm still working on, but it's a tech startup. It's a sports
Okay.
tech startup. So it's called WeTrain, and I had gotten a trademark for it. So that's like before is like, okay, like there's kind of three sections like copyright, trademark, patent. And so I had known going into this, like, okay, I kind of know the sectors of IP, but it's definitely something I'm still learning about and excited to keep learning.
Oh, for sure. So did you get I would imagine with Varsity Gripz, that seems like that's still a trademark term, but as it relates to the kind of the design of the grip cover, is that something that you look to get a design pack? Because a lot of people don't know
Mhm.
in regards to patents. You actually have three types of patents. You have what's the more popular is the utility patent, and then you have
Mhm.
the design patent, which protects ornamental features and ornamental feature or overall look and feel of the product. Then you have a plant patent, which a lot of people kind of don't know about that third type, and that's not as popular as the other two. But I guess did you end up kind of going the route to getting a design patent on your grip cover?
Yeah. We're actually going through it right now.
Right.
So that's really something like, especially we really want to get like proof of concept first, but now that we've proven that, that's something that we're actually working on right now.
Nice, nice, nice. And then you had talked about We Train, which I did see that as I was preparing for this interview. And again, I know you said that's kind of different in a sense from the kind of the grip cover. Is it
Mhm.
any overlap in a sense to the extent that they both can kind of benefit each other? Have you found out, or not so much?
Yeah, so WeTrain is on like a rebuild. We have to like really fully rebuild the tech and code, but it is something that like once it's ready and rebuilt, they can definitely go hand in hand. Like we can sell Varsity Grips on WeTrain app. And then even like collaborating, I guess, with the schools we work with also like we train athletes, you know? So like since we work with that school, we could potentially get them onto the platform and making money in their own way. But there's definitely ways for us to collaborate. And I think the most obvious one is us like having a shop feature to sell and buy it on there.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Do you have any, especially from kind of those days of calling and trying to get approval to use a trademark term for
Mhm.
your varsity grip? Do you have just kind of something, a story or a moment that stood out between you and kind of one of these schools or kind of one of these organizations when
Mhm.
trying to get approval to use their stuff on your product?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm not gonna like say anything specific. I'd say some schools that denied us in the beginning are like fine with working with us now that we've like proven proof of concept. So that's definitely one thing. That's really it. Like I get it. We were a new company, like didn't have any sales, anything. So they had originally denied us, but we're definitely like super grateful that they've kind of seen the vision and like seeing why we wanted to work with them and that we can scale the company for sure.
And so then how many units have you sold of the grip covers kind of to this time? Again, I know you just started
Yeah.
last week. How many have you sold I guess up until this point in time?
Um, I'm not 100% sure in terms of units. We definitely have, I'd say we're definitely like, I think we've sold like more than 50,000 units so far.
So man.
So yeah, I
Because
appreciate it.
again, look at that's it's sweet for a number of ways, but again, for a company that just started, really, maybe less than 2 years old, to be able to sell 50,000 units of something, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy. Do you just kind of look, kind of, I don't want to say, like, just kind of think to yourself, like, man, I can't believe I started something that has sold been that successful to the point where it sold over 50,000 units of the product. Do you kind of think to yourself, like, man, I can't believe I started something that has had that type of success?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely like really starting to hit me now too. Um, like sometimes I'll just like, because obviously as an entrepreneur founder, like you're always of like kind of keep going, keep growing. But there's definitely been moments where I've caught myself of just like realizing like how many households that we're in right now, and like people that are like potentially using it right now, as we speak. So that's like really started to hit me pretty recently that we have a lot of fans that like love us, our brand and the product. Schools too. Like schools are reaching out to us and are really excited. So um, it's really started to hit me recently of like, wow, we really are growing very fast.
No, that's no, yeah. It's just like I said. I mean, I think somebody coming up with an ideal and kind of proof the concept and kind of create an actual physical product and then selling it, much less selling it to the extent that it has sold over 50,000 units, man. I just think that's something to be applauded uh,
I
as an
appreciate that.
entrepreneur. So yeah, definitely shouts out to you on that
I
front.
appreciate that.
I was going to ask you because it seems like obviously gaming is not just a United States thing. You kind of play
Yep.
games in other countries. Have you found a particular country outside of the U.S. That kind of really has kind of bought a lot of these grip covers?
So we're actually like expanding right now to international, but um, we one thing that we're looking at is soccer. So
Mhm.
definitely like that's kind of the what we're working on right now. Like we're in some pretty exciting discussions right now. So just kind of waiting to kind of hear final answers. But yeah, like once we can start, because FIFA, is like such a big game. So like once we can start getting into the FIFA market and other sports, like cricket is huge globally, but I'm just like super excited to see where it keeps going and obviously continue as kind of dominating NCAA.
No, for sure, for sure. Do you have any other, I guess, products on the horizon that maybe you could kind of talk about? Obviously, I know you had.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'd say like we're definitely planning on expanding to PC. To PC pretty soon and then uh like handhelds
Yep.
for sure.
Okay.
But
Nice.
yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. What would you say? And this is kind of a two-part question. What was the biggest? And again, maybe it was you already provided the answer uh, earlier, but what was the biggest breakthrough that you had to, or the biggest breakthrough that you had with the company up until this point in time? And then on the flip side, what was the biggest challenge that you had to overcome with the product? You were kind of getting started right off into the whole tariff things and all that. So whether it was like the tariff was a big challenge that you had to
Yeah.
overcome to the extent that you were manufacturing this thing abroad, or was it something other like another challenge that you had to overcome with the company up until this point in time?
Yeah, I definitely think a breakthrough, one that like really hit me where I was just like, wow, was us getting licensed with the US Army. Like that was like when we got when it was in motion, I was like, okay, this is like actually possible. But then when we actually got approved, I was like, that is crazy. So that was like super exciting for us. And we're still like getting ready to launch that very soon.
Nice.
And then challenges, I'd say definitely like the whole tariff situation, like that started to come about like right when we started to grow and scale up. So I was definitely super like kind of frustrated and like trying to figure out how to manage it best. But it hasn't affected us too bad.
Okay.
And then I'd say another challenge was just like our fulfillment journey.
Mhm.
Like we started first, I had like this one guy in New Jersey who was shipping all of our orders. Then it became too much for him, and then so we had him ship it to me. Then I had a storage unit in Florida that I was shipping products out of, and I had like some interns, like super started from the bottom, like grind stuff, and then that got like I had to go to school. I couldn't be like going back and forth with the so it became too much, and so then we transferred to a like family owned warehouse in Utah who was great and amazing. Eventually outgrew them, and then we're finally at like a very well established franchise national 3PL in Tennessee, who's like they ship out our orders extremely fast and accurately. So our journey has just been crazy. That's like yeah, fulfillment. We aren't a company without fulfillment. So like
Wow.
there have been times where it's so stressful, like, oh my gosh, customers need their orders, stores are waiting. Like it was just like so chaotic. But we finally got to like, okay, we're settled. We got a great partner now and we can scale.
No, and it seems like, man, just over the course of since you found it up until now, you've kind of went through a number of different companies from a fulfillment standpoint. Do you think that was just because of the crazy growth that you guys have had up until this point in time?
Yeah, I think so. Like we've grown very fast. So I think it was like, yeah, the speed, it's kind of hard to judge because like when you're like, okay, we're gonna station here, but then it takes time to get there, then like get settled in, and then like as during that time you're still growing rapidly. So I think like we didn't realize how fast we were growing, and then we got to a point where we're just like, okay, we gotta kind of hit this next step and have that national partner.
No, that's sweet. That's sweet. So then, I guess going back to the whole army, what was so surprising or kind of uh, mind-boggling, I guess, if you will, to kind of get that particular license from the army?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just like I wasn't surprised. Obviously, I reached out to them because I was like I thought it was a great idea, I thought it was a no-brainer, and I thought that they would too. But like actually like going through the process and like getting like approved and all that stuff, I was just like, this is like, like the top military in the world type thing. So I was like, I'm not even graduated college yet. It's like to be licensed with the army. I was like, this is crazy. But it was just like super exciting. My dad was in the Air Force, so I
Oh,
have
nice.
definitely have like military connection. But it was awesome for me. I was like, I know some veterans, soldiers, like kids who are at now who served a couple years, and they're just like, yeah, like all we did was play games, Call of Duty, Battlefield, you know what I mean? So like it was just one of those no brainers, and so I'm excited to see like how well it does in the feedback from the bases.
Ah, for sure. Absolutely. That definitely sounds like a sweet thing. Now, have you finished up college down in Miami, or are you still kind of going through the process, or you're almost finished?
So yeah, so I graduate in December of next month.
Oh,
So
crazy, man.
almost done. Super excited about it.
And I was going to say how you kind of talked about it a little bit. How as kind of starting Varsity Gripz, and then obviously you had to retrain. So how is having kind of a successful company affected, or just kind of change your perspective on even going through college? Because again, it seems like you're a sports admin and education. Then having a successful business. How has that
Yeah.
changed your mindset with regards to college and just kind of that whole thing?
Yeah. So I mean, I've obviously had those thoughts of like, I definitely don't want to be keep doing this, but my family is like very strict military, like just like family. They're just like, you have to get a degree, no matter how big your company gets. We want you to have a degree. So really, just been that. My brothers like both graduated, so their degrees are on the wall. My space is empty. So I get made fun of for it from them and my mom. So it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, okay, I've gotten this far, no point in dropping out. But it's been very difficult. Like people kind of just like you kind of just hear like business in college, and then just like think, oh, it's probably hard, but like it's been super difficult in terms of just like balancing school, social life, like everything. So I think I think I handled it pretty well in terms of balance. Like I used my campus a lot, to get a lot of work done. Um, but just like that environment, my professors are like amazing. Like the school is like I love it. I have some very great professors who have really like helped kind of get me to where I am and like who even still mentor me to this day and will after I leave school. So I think I'm super grateful to be a part of the Miami community because it is a great school. But yeah, it's definitely not been easy in terms of balancing both and like meetings, like just so much chaos every day.
Oh, for sure. I definitely would. That makes perfect sense in terms of having to balance it all. But it seems like it's been worthwhile for you, which is cool. And like you said, hopefully soon you can kind of get that degree and put it on that empty space on the wall. I was gonna
Soon.
I was gonna ask you this because again, we haven't talked about you went to IMG
Mhm.
lacrosse a lot of times, especially again. I was telling you that I was in the Detroit metro area. We hear about IMG because you have a lot of kind of players go there for
Yeah.
sports, football, basketball, whatever the case may be. And again, it seems like with IMG, they kind of came around and you were able to license kind of that brand for
Mhm.
the grip coverage as well. So I guess number one, how was it? How was it getting that approval from them to
Yeah.
license the brand? But then on the other side of things, uh, I would imagine that you going and playing lacrosse at IMG. Was it like did you have ambitions to play at the next level, or are you even playing at kind of Miami as relates to
Mhm.
lacrosse?
Yeah, so Um, to answer your first question, that was that like getting IMG was definitely such a full circle moment for me. I was like, this is crazy. This is like, so that like really hit even my family too. Like my family was just like, wow. So that was like and it really made me appreciate them even more because it's like they didn't have to do it. I'm glad that they think it's a great idea too, and like it's showing now. But I think it was like, okay, the fact that we were able to do that, regardless if I was an alumni or not, like that's an awesome partnership. But the fact that I am an alumni, it was just like, wow, this is awesome. And then, yeah, so in terms of me being there, it was great. Like I transferred there when I was like, I was either I think it was 16 when I transferred. So moved to Florida from Maryland, was on campus. Luckily, one of the dorm parents was like close friends with my brother. So I
Nice.
literally had like I had a dorm parent who's like family to me. And then my brother also worked there at the time
Oh,
as like a strength coach. So I was chilling in a sense. I had basically like two brothers there. But it was great. Like I was super locked in. Like I was fully focused on playing D1 or D2 lacrosse. And it was it was a great time for me. Like I met so many cool people, had so many crazy experiences. Like I'm so blessed and grateful. It made me like very disciplined, like motivated, mature as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful experience. I was a COVID grad, so I wanted to stay in Florida. So I got to IMG. I was like, I don't want to leave Florida. And so I was like, okay, I have a couple options. Jacksonville is the only D1 in Florida. And so I went to prospect camp there. I ended up getting offered, but I was like, okay, what are my options in Florida? And so I start looking. There's like FGCU, there's Tampa, Rollins, and Orlando, and then there's one in Boca Raton called Lynn. So I had a friend I had a couple friends that played there. And so I was like, hey, like I'm at IMG, I'm interested in coming to Lynn. Ended up started talking with them and getting recruited. I committed like right before COVID hit. So
wow.
COVID hit, and then some of my friends who were seniors didn't even get to commit or play their senior year, or like post grad too. It was awful, but I ended up committing right before COVID happened. Went there in 2020 in the summer. Played a year there. It was amazing. Had a great time. We were a great team. After my first year, I was like, okay, I kind of want to. It was a school of like 2,000 kids, so it was a very small school.
Wow.
Um, but I was like, I kind of want to go to like a big university. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply to Miami and see if I get in. And then I got in. I was like, I'm gonna transfer. So I've been here ever since. And best decision ever. I've been playing club. I actually finished my club season this spring that just happened.
Nice.
So done playing, but it was like super fun as well playing at Miami too on a club team.
Nice. No, that's sweet. Congratulations on all that again. And that's can't be easy between running a business, going to
Yeah.
school, playing on the club team. So you definitely have your hands full, man. I think back my time at Michigan State when I was doing engineering as well as playing football, and that was like carrying
Yeah.
full-time job. So I can definitely kind of understand what you're going through, but it seems like it's almost over as it relates to the whole school part and kind of
Yeah.
lost part of it, which is cool. I do want to respect your time and just have a couple more
No,
questions
no
for
worries.
you. Uh, I always like to ask and get the feedback from the business owner on this question. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs? Again, I always like to talk to younger people just because to be able to do it. I always think that people should do it as early as possible in terms of entrepreneurship, starting that business, just because you don't have that much responsibility as relates to a spouse or kids or whatever the case may be. So that's number one. But I guess in your situation, what advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur who's maybe kind of doing this double dutch? Do I start this business? Do I not start this business? Here's one thing that I know as a patent attorney. When I tell people I'm a patent attorney, the next thing I get is, oh, I have an ideal. So we all got ideals.
Yeah.
But it seems like most people don't end up acting on their ideal and kind of unfortunately going to the graveyard with that ideal in their head. So what advice would you give to those aspiring entrepreneurs who maybe kind of want to do more than just have an ideal, but also execute on it and try to start a business based on their ideal?
Yeah. Great question. Always love answering it. And I think that main thing is like believing in yourself. Obviously, that faith, that belief in yourself is like, I'd say like 70% of it. Um, I have sent so many emails that have either gotten no's or not replied, but the ones that I like, like some of them changed my life. So like that never giving up and keep believing in yourself is like so, so important. Just starting, like it's hard to like, starting a business is like jumping off a cliff and like building a parachute on the way down. That's really like what it is. I started a company, worked extremely hard on it, um, and kind of knowing when to pivot too. Like I
Mhm.
was like, I got to a point where I was like, okay, tech is not easy. I'm not a CTO.
Yeah.
So like this company will not grow unless we like fully kind of revamp it. So I was like, okay, I can either do that and or potentially come up with another idea that gets going and then revisit this when we're ready to rebuild it. So like that knowing of like obviously you want to have full belief in you and yourself and your company, but if there's something in the business that you need to change or pivot, like that is super crucial because for example, like a pivot we did is like we used to sell individual items, but now we only sell like bundled items. And it's like that pivot alone was like so big for us. So important and crucial steps like that is like really analyzing and making important decisions for your company's growth. Um, and then starting, like, yeah, like it's people think starting a business is like very hard. Like you really have to just kind of get your registration and all that stuff with your state and like you're good to go. Like you're kind of once you're a registered business, like you kind of build it from there. So I'd say like just that belief in yourself, knowing when to pivot and then just doing it, just starting it and seeing what comes from it and like just kind of on that cycle after you do.
No, I like that, man. I like that. No, you're absolutely right. I think that's important that a lot of people don't understand in terms of kind of when and knowing when to pivot and kind of make those adjustments. It seems like you did it a number of times with, like you said, the whole bundle as opposed to the single units, but then understanding that,
Yeah.
okay, you kind of revisit this We Train and get this product with Varsity Gripz out, and then I can kind of come back around with that
Right.
as opposed to just trying to force feed the We Train uh,
Exactly.
to the customer. So no, that's important in terms of knowing when to pivot, and I guess what adjustments to make with the business. It seems like that can be the difference between being successful and I guess not being successful in business, which is cool. And then I guess the last question, and maybe the more important question out of everything that I've asked you: how can people follow you as well as Varsity Gripz, and then how can they purchase the actual product?
Yes, so you can purchase the product at varsitygrips.com. So it's varsity and then grip with a Z at the end instead of S. So varsitygrips.com, and then our socials are at Varsity Gripz. So VARSITYGRIPZ. Um, I'm on LinkedIn as well, and my Instagram is Maurice Manswell, just one word. Um, and yeah, would appreciate any support. We got a lot of schools out. We got about 15 schools out and like over 40, 50 coming. Um, so yeah, I mean, I appreciate any support and love to kind of keep elevating the gaming experience for fans.
Oh, for sure. And then I guess I didn't ask you this, but where did you come up with the name Varsity Gripz? Obviously, Gripz makes sense, but what made you use the word varsity
Yeah.
with it?
Um, yeah, I mean, it was kind of like obviously as a sports person, I was like, what are some words that kind of like match? And obviously, like that's one thing I've thought of too. It's like if we expand out of like collegiate and high school sports, like will there be a kind of confusion with the name? But it was kind of just one of those things. It's like you got varsity JV type of vibe, and all that stuff. But I didn't want to do something basic like sport grips or something like that. Like I was just I don't know. It was kind of one of those things. It was like once I heard the name, I was like, that's it.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
for
that's
sure.
what.
And,
So yeah,
and I even think that people understand the term varsity as being like, okay, the best level, whether it's
yeah,
high
right,
school. I know they don't do it too much nowadays in
right,
college, but typically you had like the varsity football or the varsity basketball at the collegiate
exactly.
level. So yeah, I think that term varsity is understood. I think at least nationwide to kind of mean, I guess the
Yeah,
best of the best, which kind of goes into the quality of the product as well as yeah, just everything else with the sports theme. So no, I mean, like I said, I love that name, and I'm like, man, let me ask him how he came up with that. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. So,
that's
well, all right,
awesome.
audience, you heard him. I mean, he dropped a lot of jewels on this one, so maybe you guys have to go back and kind of rewatch it. Hopefully, you guys have the pens and the papers out. Love what he talked about when he's talking about knowing when to pivot and kind of make adjustments to your business. I definitely think that's true to kind of not be stagnated and continue to kind of go to the next level. So definitely go check out the product. I will put the link to the product when this interview comes
Appreciate
out.
that.
So you guys can go check out that easily. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. And until next time, guys, take care.